about to take the hood off the Hinomoto, and luckily I saw that as I was starting to take it off. Not too happy about that. I guess the brake clean's not really working too well. They seem irritated, not dead. And I guess I'll irritate them some more and get this hood off. Brought in reinforcements. Found this in the shop. Oh, it looks like they mostly vacated. There's just a few in there. Oh. Oh, this stuff smells good. I think this can's a little old. It says shoots up to 15 feet. Got about a 4-foot spray on this thing. Yeah, let me get a screwdriver, we'll knock that thing out and wipe down my seat now. But looks like they're vacated. Alright, so I set out to do what I was gonna do before I got interrupted by the wasp nest, which is now vacated. Put some return lines on. Just some cheap Lowe's fuel line, like weed eater fuel line. I would never use this stuff on gasoline, but you know, because they just get hard as a rock. But I think it'll do okay on diesel. But just a little T right there, boom, boom, and back to the tank. So I think we're ready where we can actually run this thing a little more. It's looking like I probably have a little bit of a water leak right there. It's staying wet there, so I'm gonna have to investigate that, but we're not gonna do that today. What we're gonna do today is actually hook up the brush hog and maybe do a little bit of mowing with it, see if it'll work. So check our coolant. I already checked the oil. Oil's good. Coolant is gross. Gonna need to flush it. But like I said, I wanted to get some heat in this thing, get the coolant cycling, and flush it. So I'll top it off, and then we're gonna start this thing up. Now, to be honest, I can't tell if the Pto shaft is slid all the way in there, but it's as far in as I can get it. And if it comes out, you know, we'll have to work with it and see if we can get it on further. But it's shoved up in there as far as I can get it. So, yeah. So I figured out the Pto Shaft Speed. We've got a 540 and 879, or 548. So we need to run this. I assume this is a 540 mower. I don't see anywhere on it, but it should be. So we're gonna run it at low speed. I figured out low is forward. It's just the opposite of the transmission, high and low. I've got that plate, that tag somewhere. So, my feet always get twisted up in this thing. Let's get our RPM up. Probably just a little bit more. That's probably good right there. We're right in the range. Let's lower our jet down. Probably pretty good there. And let's go first gear. We're in high range. So we gotta engage our PTO. I don't know if four-wheel drive's engaged or not. We're just going to take a cross section across here. This is pretty wet. Let's see what it does. Let's go low range, second gear. I want to be getting low range. Why is low range not working? Grass tied up. Cut it off. Take a look. Let me take a look and see. I guess we got grass wrapped around the PTO. The only thing I think of is you know, those blades pivot. I think they're kind of froze up a little bit, and we hit it off. We got it a little off. So I'm going to take a second pass. I want to see why it won't go in low range, because it's been working in low range. Something's not quite right. So I'm going to mess it out a little bit without the PTO. So I think I really need to mow in a lower speed and probably a little bit higher cut for it. So I guess let's see if we can get our cut about where we want it. Let's maybe put it about right there. We can adjust this if we need to, those two. But for now, let's try it there, see how it'll cut, and then we'll like I said, I'm gonna try to get low range working. It's pretty high stuff. It's high and it's thick. And this, it's you see this, I mean, it's a very rigid plant, and these blades are not very sharp. So we're asking a lot of it. I think, was this 18 horsepower? So I think if we take it slow, it'll do it. It's just too fast in first gear. First gear high range. All right, got it in low range. Let's try, what is second? Low range. Let's see what the speed looks like. Still gotta get a throttle level. Pretty slow. Let's engage the PTO. Yeah, it's not vibrating. Pretty high up right now. They didn't even seem to struggle there. Let's try third. Pretty tough stuff. And I think probably raising it up helped quite a bit. If we were cut too low, it probably wasn't able to clear that stuff out, throw it out, and it bunched up under there, and that's what our vibration was. Working hard. It's running really good. concern is, you know, making sure we don't have any issues with it overheating. Yeah, I just don't know how good this radiator is. What we're doing is we're doing some test passes to see how muddy it is. Like I said, I don't know if I'm in 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. I need to park it. It's not looking too muddy. It's looking pretty bad over there though. It's an aerobic system, so it stays wet over here. Sprinkler spray is a little bit low right here. We need to get some fill dirt. Trying to get this middle section done. I'm not worrying about all this. I can get the big tractor and do all that. I'm worried. We've gotten stuck in here before, so I'm worried about getting the big tractor stuck. It's doing a great job with this stuff. Like I said, this is tough stuff. Looks like we're doing okay on cooling so far. You can kind of feel the wind blowing off the radiator. It's kind of nice actually with no hood. Feels pretty good. That fan blows a ton of air. It's a better fan than what came on the tractor. Of course, our radiator is not as good as it was originally. Oh, look at that. We're digging. We're digging. Maybe in 4-wheel drive, I don't know. Big tractor probably would have gotten stuck there. This thing's wide enough, it doesn't sink as bad. The John Deere is really heavy. And then the mower on the back of the John Deere is really heavy. So it goes down easy. Yeah, it's really muddy in here. I'm trying to see if I can see the front wheels pulling. I don't think they are. What we should do is shift the axle the other way. A little bit, see if we can see it pulling. See if we can tell the difference. I think I see the back wheel spinning a little bit, but the front wheel is not. Yeah, they're pulling now. You can see them. Man, this is awesome. I love this little tractor. I didn't think I'd have a use for it, but I think if it wasn't 4-wheel drive, I probably wouldn't. But it is just super handy. Doing stuff like this where it's like mowing around the pond probably too. Just areas where it stays kind of wet. And if I get it stuck, the bigger tractor pull it out. Yeah, the front wheels are definitely pulling now. There's standing water down there. See how funny that is? And once we get this mowed, it'll dry out. We've just had so much rain. And wet areas like this just cause mosquitoes to go crazy. we overdid our cooling system. I run a lower pressure cap on it, so it's less pressure on it than it would have been if it would have been. It's less temperature. It boiled over faster than it would have if it would have had the stock cap on it. So it's not as hot as it normally, I guess, would boil over. But I saw it starting to leak a little bit from the radiator, so we definitely have some leaks here. I think I'm just gonna have to put another radiator on it. I'm gonna let it cool down a little bit, and I didn't want to just cut it right off. I wanted it to circulate and cool down a little bit. It's starting to cool down. I think I'll cut it off, and then we'll let it cool off, and well, we may call it quits, because it depends on how long the aerobic system sprays. I don't really want to be here mowing while it's spraying. So we've got cooling system issues. You know, this radiator's just junk. So we're gonna have to do something about that. All right, it's cooling down. You know, we've got a new water pump on here. We pressure washed inside the block. I may try to remove the block drains, like right there, and pressure wash again. You know, this thing had, if y'all haven't followed, go watch these videos on this thing. The radiator and the block had roaches living in it. You know, they had just eaten through hoses and everything. The water pump was completely seized and full of gunk. The block was full of gunk. The upper radiator neck was, or the upper coolant neck was just rotted off. And so I made that one. Just a lot of issues with this thing in the cooling system and everything. So I did what I could on the radiator. You know, I soldered up spots. You know, JB welded some other spots that I just couldn't get to solder, and it looks like it was leaking on the side over there. But like I said, I flushed it as well as I could, but it had pine straw in it. It just was full of stuff. Look, it spewed roach nest things out of it. I mean, that's what I needed, to get some heat in this thing to break up more of that stuff. You know, I flushed it as well I could, but you know, I think once it got some heat in it, it loosened up a bunch of other gunk and probably plugged it up, but it's also leaking. So I think we'll be better off. I think a radiator for this thing is a couple $100, but I think I can maybe take I think it's like a Honda Civic radiator or something like that, and modify it to fit, you know, as far as upper radiator hose. You know, I can turn that neck any way I want to. So I think, you know, we've got some room to work with it. And at the bottom is the issue. So we'll see what we can do here. I think have a fan spacer, worst case scenario. If we need some more room, we can throw a fan spacer on there and get that fan further out and get the radiator pushed out further, move our battery forward. You know, we've got a little room to work with. We have to make a new hood anyway, so we can do whatever we need to if we need some more room there. But, you know, honestly, our belt is loose, so it may not have been running the water pump full speed. So I may just try tightening up the belt there and top off the coolant and see what it does. It's still a little hot to open, so I'm gonna wait on that. But yeah, we'll try that, see what that gets us. But we definitely have a leak somewhere. It was going somewhere, unless what I was seeing was it coming through here. This hose was hooked up and then it running down, and I just couldn't see it, and it was blowing. But I definitely saw water before I saw it steaming. I saw water trickling down the radiator. So, all right, got a good bit of it done. Tighten the belt up, move the radiator. All right, so I got the belt tightened up. It's a little loose. 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 It's a little lo holds more water than this radiator. I'm gonna try to just get like right over there. I'm gonna leave the cap loose. It's got a big jet of water. I'll probably just run it at a lower RPM, slower speed, and just try to get around that thing and just leave the rest for now. And then we're gonna have to get a radiator and get this thing, get the cooling system in better shape. Alright, so let it cool down. I topped off the radiator. I flushed a bunch of water through it and got a bunch of nasty gunk out of it. And so what I'm doing is I'll put the PTO in high gear and I'm running half the RPMs. It's running the PTO a little bit slow. You know, it's probably running it around 400 instead of the, you know, the 540. But the cooling system seems to be able to keep up with it, you know, running about 1200 RPMs. So I've got it in high gear, first gear. I'm blowing just a little bit higher so it's not so hard on it. And I'm just trying to get this finished up. And it seems to be doing okay. I think the radiator's able to keep up with it, you know, running 1200 RPM. And we're not putting it, we're blowing slower and higher, so we're not putting as much load on the engine. So, you know, it's not working it as hard, generating as much heat. So I think we'll be okay. We'll be able to finish this little section. We just got a couple more little passes and we'll be done. Now, I know it doesn't look like much, but this grass is high and it's thick. Yeah, so I'm not too concerned with making it pretty right now. So it can dry out. The sun will get to it and it'll dry it out. Then I'll get the big tractor in here and we'll make it look good. But right now, I just need to get it dried out. And this area never dries out with that stuff growing there. And it's never, well, I guess eventually it would, but normally it doesn't. We've just been getting so much rain. I'll make a couple little passes, get that little spot there, get a little bit of this here, and then the big tractor can get the rest. But yeah, we seem to have a cooling system that works at 1200 RPMs. Any more than that, no good. And the radiator holds as long as there's not any pressure on it. So it's not leaking or anything right now. But if I tighten the cap on it builds up pressure. Come on. It builds up pressure, it won't hold. It starts leaking. So I did pressure test this radiator. I think I checked it up to 13 pounds and it was holding. Mowing very slow. See the water. I don't know, they may have just put these sprinkler heads too close. But if we got more dirt in here, it would fill out better. Boring for y'all. I'll bring y'all back when I get done. Going so slow. I'll have to probably take it out of 4-wheel drive now and be able to turn better. But I don't want to give any more RPM. I don't think I don't think she'll take it. Doing good now though. I'm really considering running it with the hood off all the time. That fan, man, it blows a lot of air. It feels good. It feels very good. That's how I know I have a radiator issue. I mean, it's pulling tons of air across the radiator. There's no issue there. That radiator's just junk. It's not. It's too plugged up. And it's leaking. All done, and the little tractor never overheated again, just that one time. And then, like I said, I'm back down to RPM. So, like I said, I'm gonna go get the big tractor. It's starting to rain. I'm gonna wait for getting the rest of it, but I got the wet parts, and that's what I was mainly concerned about. Was getting that mowed so it can dry out, and then the big tractor can get the rest of the stuff, the Ford or the John Deere, either one. So little tractor did great except for the radiator. So guess we'll be putting a radiator in it. Rust hog did good. Flip y'all back around. Fan feels great. Blows tons of air. Especially right here. It just pulls air. You can feel it pulling it through the radiator. Good fan choice. I think it was a Kubota excavator fan. Remember right. My return lines are working great. Just got a little bit of air. Tractor's working great. No leaks. Well, other than the radiator, but I never saw it leaking out of there. Lift holds as long as the tractor's on. It leaks down pretty quick when the tractor's off. I mean, if y'all follow along, y'all saw the sad shape that the hydraulics were, and the piston, that cylinder was so pitted. And I just cleaned it up, put it together. I didn't replace anything in it. So, I mean, to be honest, it's working better than my Ford tractor is. So, you know, it leaks down with it running. This one stays up as long as it's running. Sounds like our belt's slipping a little bit. It's, one of the pulleys must be kind of chewing the belt up a little bit, causing the belt to keep getting looser. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm gonna do some measuring on the radiator and try to come up with some kind of a different radiator. Whether we think it's some kind of Honda radiator, but we'll just because I can get those cheap. You know, you get like a Honda radiator for like 20 bucks. So we'll probably go with something like that. I don't think a Kubota radiator is really gonna be any better. So I think we're gonna go Honda route. I think this was too far gone to re-core. Anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below, hit the like button, and subscribe for more.